that's, I don't want to go off. I'm going to talk about The Idol. I want to talk about where we're at. So if you go, I get goosebumps right now. So to me, that's why I came to Hollywood, based on those pillars of like the system. People hate gatekeepers, but it's like if you were accepted into this, I hate to say secret society, but it was supposed to be a fun, cool society, then you were considered talented. And I always felt, my mom said, you're like, she always used to read me this book called The Little Prince. And she's like, that's who you think you are. You know, you never want to clean your room. You never want to do anything. You're a little prince. And that's how I felt. I felt I lived below my station in life. I felt like I was a country club kid, even though I grew up in the city. So that's why I always sought out Hollywood. It's like, I need to be exalted. I'm better than just, delivering pizzas, even though there's nothing wrong with that. But I felt like I had more to offer. So Hollywood was that way for me. And the excitement of right now in this neighborhood, why I'm always drawn to this area. Isn't that fascinating? What does it, why am I always drawn here? Never the west side, never too far. Well, from La Brea to Fairfax, there's if you look, there's one big house and then there's another big house, and they're huge. Those, I believe, were Charlie Chaplin's guard gate houses. And at the top of the hill above Franklin was one big house. Now it's been torn down, I believe, and there's a lot of other houses. But all of that was Charlie Chaplin's estate. And the ability to come here, so and the Hollywood sign was Hollywood Land and Hollywood Land Realty and the Holly Brush. But there was also something, it's a whole other pod about ritualistic with the holly berries or something. I do remember this. And so this whole thing, like when you're saying with magic, is in kind of around here.
Yeah.
And but Chaplin to me built Hollywood. And he is the man, but I don't know enough about him. But going back to what you're saying is, it was all these big houses were built by set decorators, and they were built for nothing. And now they're $100 million mansions. So it's a fascinating thing. What is my point? I've lost it. But my point is this, is that, because I wrote this down, is that these ceremonies that you're saying and these messages that they're putting in the media, I know the simplest way I can break it down is this. Music changed somewhere in the 30s or the 40s with the megahertz. That's 100% correct, right? And so literally the anatomy of a hit happened because you're kind of being brainwashed. That's correct, right? And so if you can write a hit actually scientifically.
Right.
Okay. And so all hidden messages in certain music, that's a real thing, correct? Okay. When we're doing this stuff and they do it like your Katy Perry thing is so real, because if you look at one of her videos, it literally goes to ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia with the
Dark Horse.
Yes. It's just so full of it. Oh, it's insane. Like, I guess if I never listened to you guys, maybe I wouldn't have thought of it. I'm like, oh, this is just artistic, but it's like completely like that, right? And I'm starting to see this everywhere. This, and this. But people say the symbolism will be the downfall, but they have to do that is because that's the revelation of the process. So basically, if I can explain this to everybody listening, so it's like this. I'm going to try to make it as dumb as I can. You're basically saying, in front of me is a strawberry. I'm going to eat this berry, and by saying that I'm going to eat this berry will give the berry its flavor. If I don't say that and I just put the berry in my mouth, it will be bland. Is that kind of what the same thing is? By giving it, you're actually activating the process by saying you're going to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So Revelation,
lighting the match, if you will.
Revelation method is the idea that you can prepare people for what you want to do down the road by seeding it in fiction as a form of propaganda.
But you have to do that, correct? In order to make it work.
Yeah, to steer it in the direction and to basically to initiate the masses into your cult that you want to control.
But you have to actually do it to get this science of it to work, correct?
Right.
So vampires, like they say, you have to be invited in, even though it's supposed to be a parable. They cannot do anything unless you do it. Mm-hmm. I personally believe vampires exist. Are we all on the same page with that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like Lost Boys level or like Bella level?
Are you making a joke?
No.
Okay.
You said not to make jokes. So.
I'm going to make it deeper. I'm going to go deeper with you.
Okay.
Very big director, legend. I had dinner with. Directed a major legendary thing, and he passed away. And it's not who you think it is for the people in the comments. And he had told me, and he looked at me deep in my eyes, and this was in the late 90s. And he said, you could go to Switzerland, which now I've been hearing a lot of smoke about Switzerland. And that all the stuff that we're talking about now, he told me something in similar 25 years ago, that there's a serum from aborted fetuses that they get together and they repurposed it. And you can take this serum, and it was like the placenta, and inject it. And there was a term for it. It wasn't what people are thinking about. This was an actual medical procedure.
Yeah.
And he said that's why people in Switzerland look 30 years younger. And he said that's vampirism. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started believing in vampires. So it like the placenta and like have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. Okay.